Hello, everyone. Well, this is going to be different for all of us, but we are going to try to make this work. This is an example of the project that you will be making on your own at home. This is actually an example of a foil relief sculpture that I have then colored over using Sharpies. What a relief sculpture is it's a two-dimensional sculpture, but then has been popped up and pressed down in areas to create different levels of relief. So down here, my black areas are my lowest. Here, my green areas are a little bit higher, and then my purple flower areas are the highest areas. These are going to be my areas of high relief. So what I'm going to do today is show you how to get started on making one of these yourself. So here we go. Okay guys, so the first step of this project is going to be to create a design that starts in the middle and has symmetry, okay? So this design is often called radial symmetry, or this itself could be called a mandala. It's just a type of artwork that starts from the center and works its way out in rays and is symmetrical on both sides. So it's a mirror image, okay? Now, I recommend that you start by creating your outline or your sketch for your drawing. What you're going to do is you're going to get just a plain piece of computer paper and cut it into a square. That's all I've done. And then from there, I'm going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to fold it in half again. What this is going to do is allow me to find the center of my paper, and it's going to allow me to keep a nice symmetrical balance as I work on my design, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna create a circle in the center, okay? And from here, I'm gonna stem out. So here I'm going to create, you know, a V here. Go again. And it's not going to be perfect. I'm kind of just drawing long straight lines, but it's always best to use like shorter, sketchier strokes so that you can really direct your strokes and get them nice and even. Use those creases to kind of guide you and help you find your center. Now, my hope is that you won't just be recreating my design. I'm just showing you how to lay it out and how to give it symmetry. If I do one here, it matches, and so forth. Now, I hope you'll play with shape and line and really be creative with it so that it's different, okay? I want all of these to be completely different. Now, from here, I'm going to do 2 more of these little petal shapes, and I'm going to keep going and going. All right. And I'm starting to create a mandala. Now you can use geometric shapes, organic shapes. I'm using kind of a mixture of both because I started with these really sharp angled geometric shapes, and then I kind of transition into those nice flowy petal-like shapes. So mine's a mixture, okay? I wouldn't get too small. The foil's hard to work with, and remember, you're going to be transferring this onto there. So kind of try to stay with big shapes so that you don't end up tearing your foil as you work. You don't want to get too small. It gets really difficult because you're going to be doing a series of popping up and pressing down as you work, okay? This design right here is what we're going to use to transfer onto our foil. So once you've got a design that you're happy with, you're going to go ahead and start the next step, which is putting it onto your foil, okay? So what you'll need is your sketch that you've created, some tin foil, hopefully you all have some of this in your home, and then either a stack of paper towel, a stack of napkins if you don't have these. I mean, honestly, you could even use toilet paper, or you could put it on top of a magazine too if you have that. Napkins or paper towel are probably going to work the best because they're a little bit more absorbent to the pressure, and we're going to be working on top of these to gradually build up that high and low relief that we're working for. So the first thing you'll do is you'll take some foil, but, you know, a pretty decent sized piece. And then what you're going to do is take that foil and you're going to fold it in half. Smooth it out. Fold that in half again. And that's going to be what you create your sculpture out of, okay? I try to keep it nice and smooth to reduce the amount of wrinkles and crinkles I get in there. Then you're going to take your stack of napkins or paper towel, whatever it is that you've decided to work on top of. Press that under your foil, and then you're going to put your design on top of that. Now from here, you're going to trace over this, okay? And as you trace over this, you're putting a light amount of pressure, all right? You're just going to get enough to get a dent on that foil. You don't want to press too hard because you don't want to tear your foil. You could also use like a pen or a colored pencil. That way you can keep track of what areas you've traced over. I'm using a pencil over a pencil, but it probably would have been better to use like a colored pencil for this part so I could keep track of exactly what I've traced over. Or even a ballpoint pen would have worked for this part. I'm going to trace over that center. You know, and take your time. I'm going a little bit faster just for time's sake, but really take your time and do a nice, neat job, making sure that you cover every area. You want to make sure that you don't skip anything. I'm kind of fold mine back. I missed one spot. All right, and now I've created my outline. Now, once you've done this, you're ready to start popping areas up and pushing areas back. So what I like to do is start from the center, and I'm going to pop this up, okay? So what you're going to do is just use a pencil, go over that outline, and you're going to gently color over it. What this does is it pushes it forward, okay? And I'm going to do it again. This isn't something you're going to do once and then it's going to be done. You're slowly stretching this foil. So you've got to do it really gradually, okay? You can't push hard or you'll go right through. It's got to be a nice, even pressure, back and forth in different directions. And then what I do is I use the eraser and I go over it to kind of smooth out that texture from the pencil. And then you can see how this is raised right here. So now what I'll do is go around the edge and I'll kind of push down around it gently so that I get a nice sharp edge. And now that center is really popped forward, okay? So now I'll flip it back over and I'm going to start pushing these petals forward, or these shapes, leaves, whatever they may be. I'm going to go over this slowly. I'm going to smooth it with my eraser. I'm going to check it as I work to see my progress. Push the edges down on the opposite side to kind of define it. Now I want it pushed forward even more, so now I'm going to go over it again, okay? And you're going to keep doing this back and forth from shape to shape until you get everything pushed up that you'd like raised. So I have all my areas raised now, looking good. Now, if I want to push any areas back, I'm going to do the same thing that I did, except instead of flipping it over and working from the back, if I want to push this down, I'm going to push it down from the front. And remember, it's got to be slow. Also, when you're pushing yours down and you're working back and forth, if you get a little tear here and there, that's okay. Just be careful around that area and keep working. Remember, it's got to be really slow and steady that we push this foil up and down. It's got to be a slow stretch of the foil. If we push too hard right off the bat, then we're going to end up with tears. So now what I'm going to end up having is all of this that I pushed forward. Okay, so that's the back side. This is pushed forward. This is my high relief. And now I'm pushing a few areas back. And this is going to be my low relief. Okay, so I'm going to continue to do that. Back and forth, slowly going every which way. If I want to define that edge, I can kind of come from the back right onto the table. So I remove the napkins, and then you can see how that kind of defines that edge right there. So I'm going to go ahead and do some low relief here, 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 and here, okay? I have all of my areas now pushed up for the high relief, right here and here, and then pushed back for my low relief. So my last step is going to be to remove those napkins, and I've already done this, but I'm going to just kind of touch it up one more time on the table, kind of go over directly on that table that you're working on, and define those edges. That's just going to crisp up all your lines and separate your different sections, okay? This is really going to make your design pop. Now, once you've got all of that kind of defined, you're ready to start adding the color. And what I do is I just use a Sharpie. If you don't have any Sharpies, really any type of marker will work. Permanent markers work best though because it won't wipe off. Also, acrylic paint would work, or even watercolor. So you could use any of these to add your color. I think a fine point marker is the best place to start, and you just go around, and this is gonna give your piece more pop, okay? It's really gonna add to that three-dimensional quality we want it to have, okay? And remember, like I always talk about in the classroom, line variation, right? So if I make some lines thicker than others, some lines thinner, it's gonna give it a lot more interest. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna outline all of this with this black marker. Everything's outlined now. I actually switched over to just the regular fine point. The ultra fine wasn't quite popping the way I wanted. So now what I'm gonna do is in my low relief areas, the areas that I have pushed down, I am going to make those solid black just for some more contrast. The more contrast, the better. The more interest you're going to get with the more contrast you create, right? So lights against darks, high against low. That's going to make our piece really interesting. So we've got that. My low relief areas are filled in. I am going to give a little dot right in the middle, and I'm going to just add some line design for interest. Just a little bit. Some little decorative strokes. Now, after that, you can ask yourself, okay, do I want it black and silver, or do I want to add some color to it? I think I am actually going to add some reds and oranges to my piece. So I don't like to color the entire area because I like that silver. I like to just add a little bit of color flare around some of the edges. Give it some interest. Kind of give it that sketchy, worn look. I'm going to add a little of this orange to the center. Now be careful as you do this that you're not pushing down your areas that are raised, okay? We still want those to stay up and be popped, okay? So now I've added a little orange, and I'm going to add some red. Again, just going over the edges. And there's no right or wrong area to add color. It's all up to you. It's your artistic choice. And I'm getting there. I'm going to add a little more red on these petals. Now it's really starting to look nice. So I'm going to take a few minutes and add just a little more color, and then we will move on. I've got all my color added now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my stack of napkins, And I am going to use my pencil to pop these areas out one more time, okay? Just give it one last kind of run over. Get those areas really popped forward. Be careful. I just was pushing a little too hard and tore. We don't want that to happen. All right. We're going over this one more time. Now those are popped up, and I am going to set my piece on the table. And then I'm going to use my finger and my thumb, and I'm going to hold it in place. And what I'm doing now is using my fingertip or your thumb, whatever you prefer. You are going to push right against that table and really smooth out any of those creases or wrinkles. It's never going to be perfect, but we can definitely get it smoother. So I'm just kind of pulling in one direction, just like this, and smoothing. So there we have it. That is my piece. I think it turned out really nice. It's got really nice high and low relief. I mean, if you flip it over, you could even, if you like everything pressed down, you could even color that side. I like mine with a little pop of high and low. But that's my final piece, and it's finished. The last thing that you can do, which I did to my first piece, was kind of create a frame for it, all right? So what I did is I just grabbed some black construction paper, and I cut out the center, and then I taped it in to the back. So now it's framed and it looks finished. Do you have to do that? Absolutely not, but you can. Otherwise, your piece could be finished just like this, and you could neatly fold it into a square, you know, do anything you want to do to kind of make it look more finished. I cannot wait to see all of your pieces done. I know that they are going to be amazing. So once you're done, snap a picture of it, send it to me, submit it, and I can't wait to see them. Great job, everybody.